If you look at the town of Camillus, great place to live, and the reason why people get involved. And the preservation of history aspect of it, it goes back 50 years. I mean, Artisco Station was purchased by a group of volunteers in the mid-60s, and they were interested in preserving the history of the railroad as it related to the town of Camillus. Shortly thereafter, the Sim store came about down at the Erie Canal. The Octagon House followed that. Schoolhouse number 1 followed that. The Steam Museum down at the Erie Canal followed that. And now we have an agricultural exhibit that you may not be aware of. It's just started. We just started it at the barn at the Veterans Memorial Park at Gilly Lake. And the thought occurred to me one day, you know, Mr. Cost, and I dug back in my records and I kept the email that he sent to Mary Ann Coogan, and I'll pass this around so everybody can take a look at it. And I said, can you meet me for a cup of coffee? And that's where it all started. From that point on, it has just blossomed to where we have all these individual segmented historical preservation groups. What's nice is there's no paid staff. It's all run by volunteer. The town gives a little seed money to get things going or to keep it maintained. And I said, let's approach the town with in conjunction with the Central New York chapter of the Aviation Historical Society and see what they think of the idea. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Cost, and then I'll come back when he's done and finish up.
I made a list of some of the remarks I want to make. I told Tom that I would speak for 10 to 15 minutes. And I have in my hand my mother-in-law's timer, which she gave to my wife. I'd like to introduce my wife, Elaine Cost, and my son, Frank Cost. The first item is to say thanks to Tom, and thanks to Rotary for giving us this opportunity. I'm going to talk quickly about a timeline where I, as a young boy, was taken to the Amboy Airport by my father in a 1927 Chevy. My two brothers also were there. We used to go and watch the Ford Tri-Motors come in. Just a fantastic airplane, corrugated aluminum, 3 engines. They would roar right up to the fence where our car was parked, and I fell in love with aviation at that moment. My interest in aviation grew, and when I was 16 years old or 17, I took my first flying lesson at the Amboy Airport. I bought a logbook. I entered the amount of time flown that first day. It was a J3 Cub, could have been a J2. But at that time, I fell in love with flying. The Cub had a door that would open up and you could look down. From that point on, I made aviation part of my life. So I'd like to fast forward to a time when, after I was married to Elaine and we had a son, our third son, his birthday came up and we took him to Camillus Airport for a birthday gift, an airplane ride. I gave him my camera and I said, Jimmy, take a picture or something. When he came down and got out of that airplane with a smile on his face, we were very happy that the gift was appreciated by Jim. So we asked the manager of the airport, a fellow by the name of Bill Toth, T-O-T-H, what would it take to learn to fly? He says, come into my office. We came out of there, he says, I'll give you 2 for the price of 1 in the flight school. So Elaine and I started in 1973 to take flying lessons, attend the school every week, and what happened was both of us started flying with an instructor. She had hers, I had mine, and so we invested what little money we could save in flying. She became a pilot. I got my license, she got her license. And so our lives changed abruptly from being people who enjoyed the outdoors, people who did this or that. We were learning to fly and started flying throughout New York State. I have 6 logbooks now. Elaine has about 4 or 5. She has 600 hours in her books. I have 700, about 1,300 hours. Most of which were hours we sat next to each other in a beautiful airplane, which is this model. And the original, this is the model that Tom spoke to you about. I'm willing to give it, I want to give it to Camillus, plus other models too. So Tom told you exactly what happened. He was the spark plug. I was just the cylinder where I had a little gas and air, but he's the one who ignited an idea, and this is why we're here today. In 1994, after I had been flying for a number of years, I developed a heart problem, and I had open heart surgery. However, my medical exam fulfilled the FAA requirements for my health. And so I continued to fly, and so did Elaine. But in 1990, I'll take that back. That was in 1994 I developed a heart problem. But in 1991, I was taking the plane to Peru, New York. Buddy Henderson was my mechanic. I was coming in for a landing and I stalled the airplane and crashed. The newspaper article and the television picture of it showed what happened. I didn't get killed. I had a little cut on my nose. And the FAA said, you gotta take a test. So anyway, I got that taken care of and I continued to fly from 1991 to 1999. And you know what happened after that. I gave up flying and continued model airplane building. I still fly radio-controlled model airplanes. I'm trying to get Tom to get one to fly a radio. Have you ever done it?
Not yet.
He's going to fly. I guarantee Tom is going to, and I'm going to be his instructor. I have the exact airplane for you.
And I can crash.
No, you're not going to crash it. I'll teach you how to fly it. So anyway, here I am. I set the clock for 15 minutes, and I'm almost like 9 minutes. Mr. Chairman, I still have 6 minutes on my time. This last item is, so anyway, I shouldn't just stand here. I should say this. Tom, if you can hold that.
Sure.
By the way, can everybody hear me? Yeah, I brought an amplifier and a microphone so I could hear myself. I have a hearing problem, but I essentially brought it so I could hear what I was going to tell you. But I'm doing very well. Here's a picture that I'm going to send around. This is C.G. Taylor, deceased. He's the man who designed the Piper Cup. He and William Taylor were partners. Then they separated. But C.G. Taylor designed the airplane that we're talking about. And here's the same picture that Tom showed you. So here, I'll send that around so you can see a close-up of C.G. Taylor. I met him at a EAA convention in Wisconsin. Here's a model that I'm going to give, a third model. I'm going to give it to Mary Ann Coogan because she was the link to Tom and me. And there's another model of the proposed museum. This one had a little paint job. But I enjoy making models to the point where I can brag a little bit. Thank you, Tom. I can brag that I still have time.
Emil. Emil.
It's ticking.
The boss.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart. This is the big picture. This is the big picture. And I'm going to ask Tom and, would you mind?
Not at all.
I'm going to ask these two gentlemen to act as the, you're going to hold this end.
Okay.
And Tom, you're going to take that and unravel it. Now here's a picture that my wife took with my Kodak Pony camera. This enlargement was made by my son. His specialty is photography. He's a former interim dean at RIT and the School of Arts and Sciences. Frank got the picture that my wife took. Elaine took this picture. We gave the picture in the negative. And the person who was in the plane is Frank Carr. He was 14 years of age. And I'm glad that the wind wasn't up. Had he gone up, we would have released the hold down wires and bring him back down. I could have been in trouble if he hurt himself. That would be child abuse. But he remembers it, don't you, Frank?
Yeah.
And there he is. He has an enlargement and framed in his home. He's quite proud of it. And at one time he says it's one of the best pictures that he's ever taken. So there it is. And I can tell you more, but that is a treasure. That will give you that clock. Oh, the clock is going the other way. I have 4 minutes. And would you roll it up now? So I think I've covered everything except one thing. Put her there.
It's hard to shake your hand while I'm taking your picture.
These are my first child. We had 3 boys and 1 girl. We got 10 grandchildren, some of whom are interested in model airplanes. So anyway, my last point. Boy, that's accurate. My last point is this. I am a believer in literature that has meaning, and one of the pieces of literature that I admire is Bartlett's famous quotations. It makes good reading. One of the quotations was, "One picture is worth more than 10,000 words." Chinese proverb. I have a new one, which I've already expressed at our March 17th meeting at the town hall. My quotation, which I'd like to get to the Bartlett people, is this. And as far as I know, I created the quotation. And I need people to witness it and say, yes, he did. He did it. I heard him say it. My quotation is, one model is worth more than 10,000 pictures. You agree?
Absolutely.
Maybe you don't, but I like it anyway. So with that...
Sounds good.
Who said that? Thank you very much. In preparing for this presentation, I just used one piece of paper, and I think I've covered everything. I have time. And it says, I don't know, it says 3 minutes. I can answer any questions. But I do want to say this, that Linda Steve, Hal, Pete, Neil, George. I don't know,
John.
and John. I know John. I met John.
Tony came in late.
And sir, what's your name?
Tony.
Tony. So I at age 86, one of the tests is to name some of the people whom you have met at an occasion. Well, I met some very nice people. We've been together for enough time for you to understand me and for me to understand you. You're all contributors to Camillus. And the last thing I'll say is, some years ago I built a model of the aqueduct. And it was so big, I didn't want to keep it in my basement or my home. So I contacted Dave Beebe, and he came to my house, and I had a cover over the case, and I told him why I wanted him. I said, I want you to see a model of the aqueduct. He came. His wife couldn't come. John Setinieri also was a model builder. So anyway, here's Dave Beebe in my kitchen. And I said, Dave, I'm going to pull the cover off of this model. You tell me what your reaction is. Pulled it off, and he looked at it. He says, that's a good one. I told him I'm going to donate it to the Camillus Sim Store Museum. If you go to the Sim Store Museum, look for it. It's a case about that long, about that high. In the case is what I think is a very nice model. It belongs to the museum. I would like to do the same thing with Tom's idea of the Amboy Museum. That's it.
Thank you. Emil, I'd like to thank you.
Where we're at right now is we're going after grants, and we're going out to any group that'll hear us speak, and we're just spreading the word that this is what we've got going, and stay with us because this is an ongoing thing. But this shows the whole park, if you're familiar with it. This is 173, and everything is pretty much here. This is where we're going to do the building itself. This is the existing bathrooms. The tennis courts are down here. The ball fields are back here. The Erie Canal, after the aqueduct was rebuilt, was able to bring a boat now all the way to 173 from the Sims store. So the hope is, or the plan is actually, are to park the buses here. You'll see a new boathouse being constructed down on 173 right now. And the plan is, when the bus loads come in, some can go to the boat ride down to the Sim store and back. The others can visit the aviation exhibit, and it works out real well. And then provide a map so they can visit the other sites, Martisco Station, Octagon House, things like that. Cost is very small. Yep, and our budget is ambitious for a project like this, $389,000. But after the aqueduct project, and Assemblyman Brown was instrumental. He was the first one there, giving us the support we needed to get that one off the ground. And that project was $2.2 million at the end. And it's, if you've ever gone down there, I'll tell you that in the evening, the place is mobbed now. They have parking on both ends of that thing. People are walking it constantly. And now Mr. Ohl, Gary Tyler, and I are finishing up an exercise trail on the other side, on the berm side. And I'll tell you something, that's going to even be more popular over on that side. So that's where we stand. And I thank you for having us here this afternoon and for lunch. And if anybody's got any questions, if you can't think of them now, my name's still in the phone book.
What's the time frame? How are we going to have all this going until?
I was hoping somebody hit Powerball last night.
I didn't.
No? Okay.
Got one number.
Well, it's going to slow.
Oh, I have to get my
It's
ticket.
going to slow us up a bit. We're awaiting word right now from a grant. And once you get the first one, then the other ones kind of follow quickly. I think to be realistic about it, next spring I'd like to be in the ground with the project and by the fall certainly open it up. The thing is, it's going to be open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. when the park is open. And then the concept is, instead of having one big general museum with a room dedicated and staff and things like that, ours has locations where the people can go, have a picnic with their family, enjoy the playground, play a ball game, and wonder what is in that building. They'll walk over to schoolhouse number 1. They'll walk over to the agricultural exhibit. And if there's not a volunteer there, there's enough signage there that they can give themselves a guided tour. And the same thing with here. Now we've got people already lining up with the artifacts ready to put them in. And the thing is, obviously, it's got to be secured because we have a segment of the community that, yeah, you have to plan around. But everything's going to be secured, and I think this is just the last piece of the puzzle as far as history goes for the town of Camillus. So that's where we stand. Thank you.
Thanks. We welcome you and wish you the best in your endeavor. And I
Thank
hope
you.
Rotary can be a part of your group at some point. We will be chatting
sure.
about that and see how we can help you.
Thank you.
Right now, you're getting a cup.
Well, thank you.
And this is our Rotary Cup. And where's Mrs. Gorse?
Mrs. Cole.
That's right. You get a cup too.
Oh, thank you.
Here we go.